they went to Mexico a lot, Hawaii finally, and then they finally took a cruise ship, and then later they took a freighter, and they really liked that. But Dad got drunk with the captain. There's only 12 passengers aboard, 6 at each table, one with the first mate and one with the captain, and my dad was always with the captain. So only because they probably were camaraderie drinking buddies in those days or something, I don't know. It was one of the times when Dad backslid drinking, I think. And he ended up kind of running the ship aground because the two of them went up and ran the ship together. So that was in Panama or someplace. So they got it off, but it was kind of an embarrassment. And but when their very first time they ever took a cruise, they were on a ship that had a Danish crew, and their waiter was Knud Rasmussen, who was a Dane, and he wanted to come to America so bad. So Mom and Dad sponsored him, and he came over from Denmark and worked for us at the Pixie.
Knud became the bartender.
Yeah.
And he was a terrific guy, a wonderful personality. He was always smiling and laughing and carrying on. I remember one time that Knud rushed into the Pixie from the bar, rushed into where Jerry was, and he said, Mr. Parks, that man just ran out on his bill, but he left me a $20 tip. So this is the kind of things that Knud was always doing.
Yeah, everybody was doing to Dad. Yeah. We were always doing something to Dad. So. Yeah. Our favorite story, of course, is where all of us waitresses decided we were going to catch Dad for sure this time, because we were always playing practical jokes. The whole crew was always trying to get one on Dad, and he always came out ahead, and we couldn't figure out how. And so this time we decided, he always was downstairs because we lived upstairs. He'd be downstairs doing the books early in the morning, like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And he'd always come down in his pajamas and robe. And so, and he'd be behind where the front desk was. He'd be back in there where a little desk was and where he would do his books. And one time I thought, gee, I think I'll clean up his desk. So I did. He about killed me. Because he couldn't find anything. He was a horizontal filer, everything just out. And so we all dressed up in our pajamas with curlers in our hair and no makeup and house slippers, and we hid over at Sambo's and behind the building till we were all gathered together, and then we snuck across the street to try to sneak in the back way at the far end of the kitchen so we could sneak in and catch him. And so we did, and here we are, all of the waitresses, all dressed up, looking like we just got up, and Dad had a tuxedo on. So that was the end of that little surprise. I don't know how he got wind of it, or he managed to get upstairs and get a tuxedo on and get back down before we got there. I don't know, but he beat us to it again. So I don't ever remember winning any of our crazy ideas we had on Dad. Never. Mm-hmm. And he just liked to have people have lots of food, and when they left they were never hungry, and they got what they paid for, and had a good time. Everybody's supposed to have fun. It's not supposed to be hard. You're supposed to be able to enjoy yourself when you're out to dinner. So that was kind of his philosophy for life, is that everybody should get along, So he was, his name actually means peacemaker. So, and he was.
He had I think the most successful aspect of Jerry's life is that he had a philosophy that if you're going to run any kind of a special and you're going to give something away, you give it away and you never have any strings attached. If you give it away, you give it away. So nobody ever says, oh geez, I got a so-and-so, but I had to do this, or, it wasn't at all that way. Everything was a giveaway, 100%. And I remember I was with him once at a football game at Taft High School, and it was raining. Of course, I guess it does rain there. And the Taft always had trouble putting 11 guys on the field. Anyhow, so there's these young kids sitting there, and it's raining, and they're sitting there in their football uniforms. And at halftime, Jerry went down to the coach, found the coach, and said, "Where are these boys' rain gear?" And the coach says, "They don't have any." Next game, they all had rain gear, and he took good care of those things. He did things like that all the time out. So, yeah.
And Dad did the first, I think, is the first overnight graduation party for Taft High School when my brother graduated. And he helped plan, I'm sure there was a lot of people involved to do this, but he had it planned out for them to go to a movie and go to a indoor swimming pool, and then I don't know,
Sure.
bowling or something, and then roller skating, and then they went to breakfast at the Pixie Kitchen, and he fed them all food. That was then the deal was if you didn't start with the party, you couldn't join the party later. And there was 3 boys that they had in the past been down at Fogarty Creek drinking. That was pretty much where they all hung out. I think it was Fogarty Creek.
Yeah, probably.
And they used to climb over a cliff, though. I'm not sure how they used to get down to this party place. But so he was trying to stop the teenage drinking in town, and try to make a safe night for the kids. So that was part of the plan. And it may not even been his idea, but he was participating in it. And these 3 boys, they followed the whole party around all night long, drinking their beer in the truck, and just sitting outside watching the kids coming and going out of each one of these events. So I don't think they had all that much of a party that night for the ones that didn't attend, but there was only, as far as I know, only about 3 that didn't attend.